The sun is shining, the birds are out, and the influencers are at it again. I think it's in Grey's Anatomy where they say it's a beautiful day to save lives. It's a beautiful day to de-influence you. So with that chaotic intro aside, so today I'm going to be sharing a reel with you, an Instagram reel, and I'm also going to be reacting and sharing my opinion on it. The reel we're going to be talking about today is from a sustainable content creator on Instagram. He goes by the name of Scott. His handle is Twin Scott. I really like his content. He mainly talks about sustainable fashion. So if that's the kind of content that is up your alley, go watch him, go subscribe to him, follow him. It's not YouTube. Go follow him. And normally on this channel, the past couple of weeks, we've been focusing a lot about the negative, shitty things that influencers do, kind of consumer culture. And there's a bit of that in here today, but this is like an account that I think is doing good work. And he provides commentary on a pretty normal type of influencer behavior that if you were to see this post, you probably would just scroll by and not think anything of it. And he provides what I think is a really good critique of this creator. So in this video, I'm going to share the commentary with you. And then I'm also going to kind of share my own ideas, thoughts, interpretations of the reel, what's happening. And then we are going to go into the comments of this reel, because the kinds of comments that he receives are comments I see all the time on Instagram and TikTok, but also some comments, like I've received similar comments myself. The kinds of things that are said in the comments, they're just like real examples of predominant thoughts and beliefs when it comes to influencers and like shopping culture. Before we can go into the reel, we just need a small amount of background to provide some context. So the influencer that Scott is critiquing is Molly May. Molly May is a British influencer with 7.8 million followers on Instagram. She has almost 2 million on YouTube, and then she has like another 3.5 million on TikTok. She is large. She is big influencer, like big time. And the kind of content that she produces is mostly, it's just your average influencer content. On Instagram, it's motly photos of her that I think focus on her outfits. She does a lot of link in bio, link in story, not link in bio. She does a lot of link in story stuff like happening on her stories. And then on YouTube, she does a lot of vlogs. And then TikTok is like the get ready with me. You have some ads, you have that kind of day in the life type of content. So I'm going to pop in my headphones. I've saved this reel on my phone, and we're going to watch the full thing.
Okay, Molly May, here we go again. I mean, I try not to let fast fashion influencers get to me these days, but people tag me and stuff and send me stuff all the time. This post from Molly May has really wound me up. I'm talking rent-free for the last 3 or 4 days. Wasn't even so much the picture, but the caption is PSA, my jeans are 15 quid on Amazon. 15 quid. Jeans might be the easiest thing to shop secondhand. They're everywhere in charity shops and thrift shops. 15 quid for new jeans is crazy. Let's even leave garment workers and ethical practices to one side for a minute.
Okay, for reference, I had to do some converting here. 15 quid is equivalent to just under $20 USD and then $25 Canadian. So just for a frame of reference while we continue watching.
Because the picture is literally taken in Zara. And then she posted an affiliate link on her story with a click to buy. The thing I especially love about influencers is when they make a ton of money selling unsustainable, unethical, exploitative fashion to their followers, take the money they've made from that brand deal and the commission that they make from the affiliate link, and then sell it all back to us with a pair of £15 Amazon jeans and pair it with Loewe and Chanel. I left a comment on that picture and there were so many DMs and comments and replies to me that I've deleted some of them, saying that Molly May doesn't care, she's not going to see it, leave it alone, who cares, grow up, whatever. But you cannot say she didn't see it because she viewed my story within 10-15 minutes. And when it comes to sustainable fashion and exploitative brands that harm garment makers, can say she doesn't care, but she can't say she doesn't know.
All right, that's the reel. And I think it was so good. And I think that he provides a really thoughtful critique that I think I would describe as kind but critical. And I think the tone of this, which I want to hit on first, it really matters because this kind of topic really winds people up. And like, I get angry personally when I see this kind of behavior, when I see people shilling products on their stories, on their platforms. Like, it really frustrates me. And he could have just been really angry because it's such a shitty practice. And she's so big. She has 7.8 million on this one platform, 7.8 million followers. And his tone and his demeanor, how he communicates the message, I think is really respectful. And that matters in this context of critique and of critiquing influencers, because the minute you get wound up, you show some kind of anger or emotion, it's that gets brushed off as hateful, as like just overly negative. Like, it's the kind of thing that you can brush off. So the tone and the delivery really mattered here, in my opinion. Molly, let me just give you some context about the magnitude of this kind of practice when an influencer is this big. She has more followers than like dozens of countries. She has equivalent followers to like the population of Hong Kong and El Salvador. She's bigger than Denmark, Finland, Jamaica. Like, she's bigger than literal countries. And because how big creators can get, we sometimes lose sight of the fact as to what 7.8 million people looks like. And it's one thing to wear these kinds of clothes in a photo. It's another thing to link them and encourage people to buy, and then encourage people to buy them because of the low price. The thought that seems to be happening here is, one, how can I make more money? And two, how can I encourage my followers to buy more things? This kind of like PSA or go buy this thing, it's so cheap right now, can be like, there can be this little patina of, I care about my followers. I care about them. So I've learned this information. Let me now do you a favor by recommending a thing that's cheap and or on sale. Molly May isn't doing her audience a favor. She is recommending and promoting this product as on sale so more people will buy it. People react strongly to sales and low prices. It gives us little dopamine hits. We advertise that and we use that as a selling factor. It's going to get people to buy. She's not doing it out of the goodness of her heart. He also makes a really great point about how influencers will take the money that they make from influencing to go buy more stuff to then influence us with. Like, once you see that, in my opinion, well, for me anyways, it's hard to unsee it. And I find this practice, like this photo and this caption, is in some ways nothing special, but that, in my opinion, is what makes it so incredibly powerful, because it's so normal that we scroll past it. We don't even give it a second thought because we're seeing so much of it. Now, before this happened, I went to go look on her TikTok, and she has had a recurring sponsorship with Pretty Little Things. And Pretty Little Things is a fast fashion brand. She went to go view his story. So she, as of like mid-May 2024, is aware of the ills of fast fashion. I just find it hard to believe that for somebody in 2024 in the UK to not know about the ills of fast fashion. There is a study that I read, and I've kind of shared it on the channel from time to time over the past handful of weeks, about how roughly 75 to 80%, there's two different metrics that were calculated, so I just say 75 to 80% of people are aware of the ills of fast fashion on a surface level. That means that there's a 75 to 80% chance, roughly, that she already knew about this. And she knew about this at the time of making her reel, but didn't think about it or didn't care. We don't want to think about it because we feel icky when we think about the exploitative practices of fast fashion. It can be really easy to think, Shauna, this is just one post. This is just one person. Are you making a bigger deal out of this than it really is? And also, like, her caption is PSA, these jeans are 15 quid on Amazon. Like, come on, there's worse examples of that. Arguably, I think what has happened is that so many of us have become desensitized to fast fashion, as well as Instagrammers or influencers selling us stuff. And also when these things intersect, we become a little bit numb to them. And our reaction is to just scroll through to the next thing, that we, I think, can forget just how damaging these things can be. So I have a few pieces of information here to illustrate my point. So as of 2022, fashion is the second most polluting industry after oil globally. The fast fashion model is predominantly a fast response system that, by its very nature, promotes disposability. So one of the reasons why this industry is so polluting is because of its disposability. So this isn't really about this particular set of jeans. This is about how influencers like Molly are part of this system that is ingrained in how so many of us shop. The article continues. The drive to meet high consumer demand has led the sector to adopt a business model that aims to offer similar styles inspired by high-end fashion shows at a much lower cost, in a shorter time, and by using lower quality materials. With increased consumer demand, retailers have been encouraged to offer more fashion collections. Notably, from 2000 to 2011, the number of collections released in the European apparel industry has grown from 2 to 5, while in some cases, retailers such as Zara offered as many as 24 collections per year. So now we're not just talking about this disposability problem, there is this extra layer of consumer demand and the increasing frequency of people buying. Given that some fast fashion retailers launch 24 new collections annually, marketing seems to contribute to fashion unsustainability as opposed to providing practical solutions. This right here is exactly what we're talking about. Marketing contributes to fashion unsustainability as opposed to providing practical solutions. There could be marketing for practical solutions. That's not what's happening. People like Molly are de facto marketing examples. She is a seller. She is somebody who promotes these unsustainable fashion brands or unsustainable outlets that contributes to fashion unsustainability. One thing this article says is that knowledge about climate change may not cause consumers to change their behavior. And they offer what I feel like is really relevant information to our discussion today. Contrary to current impressions, research shows that young respondents 18 to 29 years old are typically more unaware and unwilling to change behavior when compared to older respondents. As a result, younger individuals are more susceptible to influencers in sustainable decision making. Now, I don't know Molly's analytics, but I feel very strongly that 18 to 29 years old is probably a large part of her demographic, or at least overlapping. My own are 25 to 35. There's still a big portion of majority of my audience who would fall under this stat as well. So we have what is ostensibly an impressionable audience, people who are more susceptible to influencers in sustainable decision making, who are influencing people to make unsustainable choices and are advocating for practices and brands that contribute to the second most polluting industry globally. That's why this is a problem. Let's now jump into the comments, okay? Because this is where I feel like the real action is. All right, first up. She's literally wearing a Loewe jumper and has a designer bag. Why do you think she will listen to you? She bought a pair of jeans online. Why would you think she'd wear something used if she's a millionaire? And the creator responded, to leave the planet in a better place for her kids, maybe? This kind of belief is really common, but what this person is saying is that people with money have the right to consume how they want. Like, duh, of course she's rich If she's rich, why would she buy used stuff? There seems to be this expectation that thrifting is only for poor people, or that rich people are literally allowed to do whatever they want because they're rich. Just because rich people do what they want doesn't actually mean that that's okay. Like, there's this expectation and this norm. Like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. She's rich. What? She's also not just a rich person. She's a rich person who is choosing to also be an influencer. And when you put yourself online and you are deciding to intentionally sway people's buying habits and behaviors, you have ownership over how they're choosing to spend their money. You are deliberately swaying that. You are trying to influence that. This is not some benign person who's online. She's encouraging certain kinds of behavior, and ultimately she's choosing to not take accountability and ownership over how she's influencing. That's a choice. Another person says she can't win. She buys expensive stuff and people say she's unrelatable, so she buys cheaper stuff and then videos like this are posted. I get the point of the video on the ethics, but give the girl a break. This comment is also representative of a certain kind of comment as well, that influencers are criticized no matter what they do. And in a respect, she is right, because if you go and look on that post, there are lots of people criticizing her body, suggesting that she has gotten plastic surgery and like BBL, like people making comments, people speculating that she's had a divorce. First of all, her body and her divorce, none of your business. Even though she's posted her life online, there are certain things that are, in my opinion, inappropriate to speculate over and comment on. She doesn't deserve zero dignity because she's making some questionable choices. And so this kind of comment, like she can't win, is a way to rebuff like any kind of criticism, because it's all unfair, because she's getting so much criticism that like what's real and what's not, what's legit and what's not. Influencers don't need our defense. Like, she doesn't need this vanguard defending her. And calling out shitty brand practices or shitty practices, calling out shitty behavior is not hateful criticism. It's honest and meaningful critique. There's also this view that I get a lot on my channel too, is stop judging other people. Stop judging other people for how they shop. I understand this view in theory, and I do believe that it applies to certain things, right? Like we just talked about her appearance. No, it's not appropriate to make comments about that. Speculating on whether she has a divorce, not appropriate to make comments about that. However, people extend this view to all kinds of judgments. And in my opinion, some judgments are viewed as judging other people when they are, in fact, holding other people accountable. We don't just say nothing to people who have performed shitty behavior or are doing problematic things. And we don't just, we're not going to say anything because that's judgment. No. Some corporations, some people need to be held accountable because they will not hold themselves accountable. This kind of commentary is not judgment, it's critique. Or if you want to call it judgment, sure, I find this type of judgment necessary and beneficial for the creator, but also for the audience. Another person, sorry, but not everyone at our age can afford £100 for jeans. And that doesn't mean that they want charity used jeans. Lol, respect different price ranges and income. This to me is like deliberately misunderstanding the point. There's a really wide middle between £15 and £100, or $50 or $15 and $100. There's so much middle between the two, and this person is exaggerating to say like, it's either 15 or 100. No. This person is also putting down secondhand clothes as used charity shop jeans as like a way to denigrate this kind of spending and people who shop in this way. It's a deliberate use of language to put something down, the used charity shop jeans. And I find this kind of condescending, but also I think this type of take is a bit hypocritical. Perhaps this person isn't, but there are celebrities and rich people who all the time can do vintage shopping, and they'll buy vintage Chanel bags and it's vintage. Or, celebrities will rewear some famous dress from the 1990s or the 1980s. And I like seeing that in the celebrity realm, but that is the same premise, the same idea as the used charity shop jeans, but that doesn't get called the used charity shop jeans. It's like saying the used charity shop jeans are for the poors. Also, this person says, respect different price ranges and incomes. This implies that people who make more money can shop how they want, and also that there aren't secondhand or sustainable options with more money. In fact, the more money you have, the more options for secondhand sustainable shopping that you do have. I also disagree with this stance about respect people's budgets in the mentality of people who have more money can just do whatever they want. We are in a climate crisis. We are using our resources at 1.7 times the rate that we actually have them, or that they can be replenished. So if we do nothing, the world is literally burning. We don't get to stay on this trajectory and have a peaceful outcome. We have to actively do something in order to have a different outcome. So with that in mind, respectfully, no, people cannot shop however they want. When the climate crisis is our reality, you do not get to shop however the hell you want. That's not a stance that I want to support or that I feel like we should be advocating. Somebody else says an additional point as well is that even if she didn't see it, her platform is huge. So maybe your comment doesn't change her mind, but it may make others reading think about how unethical her flogging 15 quid jeans for Amazon is. Entirely a great point. She has 7.8 million followers. His comment is now the top comment. There's 1,200 likes on it, and somebody is going to see it. I saw it, and now I put this comment in front of 10,000 more people. I'm not trying to say I'm the be all end all, but what I am trying to say is that this is absolutely correct. By him making a comment isn't always for the influencer. While it'd be great if she did differently and she acted differently, that's not the only scenario here. There was to the earlier comment that talked about how, she couldn't win if she does expensive stuff, then people make negative comments, and if she talks about cheap stuff, people make comments. Box Studio says there's a middle ground, multiple in fact. She could buy secondhand or vintage designer. She could buy from and promote small independent labels. She could buy literally anything in the mid-price range that's ethically produced. A lot of brands exist in this space. Another comment, I think we'll end here. Yeah, someone paying 15 quid when that's all they can afford is fine, but these influencers piss me off to no end. They can afford to shop better. That's a really big part of the point. She has the platform and the money to shop differently. She could do all of the other things that one studio had mentioned, and she'd be using her platform for good, and she can afford to highlight these brands in ways that somebody with less money couldn't do. And she also has more power than a small following to really advocate for more ethical practices, and she's choosing to not do those things. I can imagine there's an entire market out there of people who are upper class, who have money to spend, money to burn, if you will, who may be open to the vintage and designer fashion. She could make content on that, and people would likely still watch. There are that she could ostensibly buy from if she wanted to still buy things and kind of keep within the type of content that she's making, but do it even in a more marginally ethical standpoint, it's not Amazon or nothing. You know, like it's also not designer or nothing. And there's so much middle ground in between. This is the last comment that I want to make is from this person who says, not to mention these jeans are 1,000,000% what I would consider an item that is a micro trend, not leopard print because I think that is timeless, but these jeans specifically. I can guarantee you we'll be seeing these jeans in charity shops in the next few months when people don't think they're cool anymore and the trend dies. This is an excellent point that we are also shilling a micro trend and we're promoting something that is very likely not going to have longevity in this creator's wardrobe, but in a lot of people's wardrobes who buy them. And it is true that leopard print can be a staple print in some people's wardrobes. And I think that leopard print fits really well into kind of certain style niches. In other people's wardrobes, or even kind of in the cultural moment, there are certain patterns, even leopard print, that will be popular for one moment and then not the next. But then it's also not just leopard print, but it could be different styles of leopard print. This one kind of feels like a more realistic take on a leopard print. I can't totally see the leopard print, but it feels more real than illustrated. There's also been different kinds of leopard print that have been like large scale print or like blue leopard print that are very much of a moment. And so you have this extra layer of promoting a micro trend and dispensability and obsolescence that is being promoted as well. That's the video. That's my commentary on this. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this topic and my own commentary. What do you think about it? What would you add to this conversation? I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and hope to see you again around here soon. Bye.
I think there's another you.